DC Comics has made one of the odder announcements I think I've ever reported on during my time here at Thinking Critical, but it's time to get to Jurassic League. DC announced Jurassic League, a new 6-issue series that reimagines the entire Justice League, including Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and villains like Joker and others as dinosaurs, or in DC Comics words, defenders of truth, justice, and the prehistoric way. I imagine you noticed that the lead comic character in DC Comics Dinosaur book, of course, is Batman. It's becoming almost a punchline, right? Every single DC comic book features Batman. I guess I'll let it slide this time because it is a dinosaur version of the Justice League, but I don't know. It feels like if you have a Dino Justice League, you probably put any character on there, but I get as we see by the numbers, I guess it is Batman that butters DC Comics bread. So if you're expecting to get anything of substance anytime soon from DC Comics, not having Batman or somehow tied into it, it doesn't feel like it's going to be happening anytime soon. We got Shadow War coming up, which I was going to tie in Batman, Justice League Death, that's going to be tying in with Justice League Incarnate, and the big event. I imagine Batman will be playing a big part in that. So that is neither here nor there, I guess. So let's get into this information. According to the publisher, the Dino versions of DC's Trinity joined forces with superpowered dinosaurs to save a prehistoric Earth from the sinister machinations of Darkseid. Now, here's the good part. So this seems strange. It's a weird concept. Normally, I would be whatever. I'm not even going to talk about it because it might be too fringe even for me to even consider reading. But here's where we get. Here's where we make our money. This is going to be co-written by Daniel Warren Johnson, who's also going to be doing the covers, but unfortunately not the interiors, and Juan Gedeon, who's a co-writer but is actually doing the interior art. I would prefer Daniel Warren Johnson be doing all the art on the book, to be honest. But Juan Gedeon is a perfectly fine artist. Daniel Warren Johnson, I have my never buy list, and Daniel Warren Johnson is probably on my must buy list. He's up there with Chip Zdarsky, Robert Venditti, Matt Kent, kind of writers like that I absolutely trust with pretty much everything they write, including like a Jeff Johns, Peter Tomasi. This is what Daniel Warren Johnson had to say about the series. I dig the Justice League, but I dig them more as dinosaurs. A man of few words, and I think he sums it up quite well right there. If Daniel Warren Johnson wasn't on the book, like I mentioned, I probably wouldn't be interested. But literally, it feels like everything the man touches, at least right now, turns into gold. If you go back and read his Beta Ray Bill series, it's absolutely fantastic. You might not like the art, but you will absolutely love, and I think adore, I don't use that word very often here on the channel, his take on Beta Ray Bill and the Thor lore that's kind of wrapped into it. It's just an absolutely fantastic take on the character. So I think Daniel Warren Johnson is a fun kind of guy. He seems like maybe he's a bit of an introvert in some of the interviews that I've heard him give. But when it comes to comic books and comic book ideas, I think Daniel Warren Johnson is not only very good at his craft, he is absolutely a great writer, but I do think he is a kid at heart. I think when he writes comic books and when he thinks about comic books, I think he and I are kind of on the same page, and I think fun really should come first. And you do get a really great story. Speaking of Beta Ray Bill, the most recent example, that is a really fun story. You see some really crazy stuff in there. It's really strange. But at the heart of it, he also gets the characters and he really pays respect to them. This year at DC Comics, he did that Superman Red and Blue short story, which is essentially about Pa Kent wanting to be a good father to Clark Kent when he finds him, and the way that Clark Kent plays it forward when he's Superman, and the way that he treats people, and it all kind of leads back to his father. I think it's called Generations. It's an absolutely fantastic story, and it gets to the heart of the character. I think Daniel Warren Johnson, even though this is kind of an odd take on the Justice League, will probably get to the heart of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman as dinosaurs. And I think it'll probably be a lot of fun. So Daniel Warren Johnson on this, I think, is a great pick. And honestly, when you have Daniel Warren Johnson on a book right now, it's must read for me. And that's just all there is to it. As far as the story plot, this is the synopsis that DC Comics has given us. You know the story. An infant escapes the destruction of its home planet and is deposited on Earth to be raised by human parents. A goddess from a lost city defends truth. A theropod dons the visage of a bat to strike fear into the evildoers' hearts. This heroic trinity, alongside a league of other superpowered dinosaurs, joined forces to save a prehistoric Earth from the sinister machinations of Darkseid. Wait, what? Okay, maybe you don't know the story, so join us and bear witness to a brand new, yet older than time, adventure and experience the Justice League as you have never seen that before. When I see a synopsis like this, I think, wow, this sounds like a nice, fun, popcorn type of comic book. Because Daniel Warren Johnson's on there, I think they'll get deeper into the characters and there'll be more meaning into it. But if you're not going into it for that, if you're just in it for the fun, I imagine this is going to deliver in spades, even though it is a weird concept. Admittedly, if you said, Wes, what project would you like Daniel Warren Johnson to do next? I almost guarantee you, well, not almost guarantee you, I 100% guarantee you I wouldn't have said Dinosaur, Justice League. It's going to be fun. It's going to be stupid, and we're going to see weird versions of Joker as a dinosaur. I believe Flash is like Flash Raptor or something. He's like they've got a bunch of weird dinosaur names that were kind of hard to pronounce. I don't want to make myself sound any stupider than I already do. And the other thing I kind of like about this, and I hope that this is the way it is, this sounds like a comic I can probably read with my 6-year-old. I don't get a lot of that from DC Comics that much these days. A lot of their comics just aren't appropriate for kids. Hopefully, Daniel Warren Johnson takes this opportunity with an idea. Like the Justice League is dinosaurs. Kids love dinosaurs. Kids like superheroes. And when they mix them together, it's kid-friendly. And I'll be able to enjoy this with my son. I want to be able to sit him on my lap, put the comic book up there, and read it with him and have a good time. And if Daniel Warren Johnson and DC Comics deliver on that, I will be very happy. I'll have my nice popcorn comic book. I'll have my moment with my son. We'll get to work on his reading, and everybody will be happy. I imagine many of you are going to be like, Wes is going to think this is a stupid idea. Well, technically, Wes does kind of think it's a stupid idea, but stupid can be fun. There's nothing wrong with an outrageous, outlandish idea if you're able to execute it on a fun level, which I believe Daniel Warren Johnson will do. DC Comics senior editor Katie Kubert had a quote on this. I believe she's the editor behind it, obviously. She's the one they're talking to. Words cannot express how excited I am for this book as a lifelong dinosaur lover, a dinosaur tour guide, and fossil preparer for 2 of the most prestigious natural history museums. This book speaks to my heart and science soul. When Juan came to me with the idea and Daniel Warren Johnson doubled down on it, I know we had something truly special, and I can't wait for fans to fall in Mesozoic love. It sounds like Katie Kubert, who has a name most of us will recognize, besides being a comic book editor and likely to have been around comic books her entire life, has extensive knowledge of dinosaurs. The only way I could say this going wrong, really, is maybe we try to remove a little bit of the fun and go with like a little too much of a history lesson or type of science lesson. Sure, I want some of those little pieces in there, but make sure you don't pull the fun out of it. Make sure if you're going to make a Jurassic League, a Justice League of dinosaurs, you got to go all out. You got to go over the top with it for it to work. You have to celebrate the over the top nature of the hook and what you're actually selling people on. So I have a good feeling Daniel Warren Johnson will absolutely bring it in spades. Sounds like Juan Gideon is definitely on board, and hopefully Katie Kubert really brings it home with this story and we have a little bit of fun. I think at this point with where DC Comics are right now, and I am not happy with DC right now, and I am a DC Comics fan. I'm a DC fan before I'm a Marvel fan. You know what I mean? That's the universe I personally love. I'm not having a lot of fun with DC Comics right now. I want to have fun with this. Jurassic League is going to be a 6-part miniseries. It goes on sale May 10th and will feature variant covers by Walt Simonson and Juan Gideon himself. Do I think this will be the best-selling comic book in the history of the world? No, but I do think they'll be interested in it. People love superheroes and people love dinosaurs. Is it going to be as successful as mixing superheroes and zombies or superheroes and vampires? Perhaps not. But I do think that they celebrate it. If they run with it, I think people will be intrigued by it. The covers certainly are going to bring you in there. When people see that there's a dinosaur that's also Batman, there's a dinosaur that's also Superman. I do think the idea itself, on the surface of it is kind of stupid, but it sounds like fun, and hopefully people come in for that. And I do think we could all use a little bit of fun in the DC Comics universe right now. If you're a fan of Batman and you can't get enough, Josh and I do a weekly series called This Week in Batman. This week we talked about Lex Luthor kind of becoming Batman, sort of kind of, in Batman 120. If you haven't checked out this video, we do review Batman 120. We also review Detective Comics as well as Dark Knights of Steel. Check it out if you're looking for some Batman reviews.